in Tampa Bay, Florida at the Be Legendary Experience, and I'm here with entrepreneurial coaching expert Steve Sipress. Now, he's the publisher of a magazine and he's out of Chicago, so he's staying warm here in Tampa. Steve, welcome.
Welcome, it's good to be here, and I got the photos from my wife back home, 6 inches of snow yesterday.
It's just amazing, how there could be such a difference in the temperature.
Yeah, I might not be going home anytime soon.
Yeah, you'll have to tell her that. So I understand that you are an entrepreneurial business coach, but you're also a publisher of a magazine. What are some strategies that are really key to being successful as a business owner today?
Great question. The magazine happens to be one of them. So I teach small business owners and entrepreneurs how to build up their own positioning, build up their own expert status, and therefore attract more of the ideal clients that they want to work with. And so one of the ways, there's a bunch of ways, blogging or all kinds of online stuff, publishing a book, publishing a magazine. So here's like an issue of my magazine, and I interviewed Brian Tracy. I had him speak at one of my events, and now I interviewed him for the feature article in the magazine, and having myself positioned with Brian, an expert in the field, who my target market will recognize, helps position me as an expert. And that's what I teach people, things like that, to do.
So Entrepreneurial Success Magazine, this is a great platform. And we were talking about this really throughout this legendary expert event, how important it is for you as a business owner to have a platform. Can you speak more about that?
Yeah, platform's especially important for me, being short. No, actually a platform. So I think the way Dustin puts it really well, a platform is your opportunity, your positioning, your status, so that what did he say, the definition of a platform, which is something that raises something up. And we as entrepreneurs want to raise ourselves up. Okay, there's a saying I learned from Dan Kennedy, my #1 mentor in direct response marketing, who teaches that you want to get paid for who you are instead of what you do. And so really wealthy people get paid for who they are. So for instance, like a Kim Kardashian, who will tell you she has no talent in the world other than marketing herself, gets paid for who she is. She shows up somewhere and gets paid. She sends a tweet and gets paid. Who wouldn't like to get paid just for who we are, instead of to graduate from the drudgery of getting paid just for what you do? And that's what I help people to do.
Steve, you raise a really important point about personal branding. A lot of times we have our business, we have our book, but as the author or the creator of the business, we kind of stand back. So what you're saying, if I understand it correctly, is that we need to move forward into the spotlight and be more visible personally?
That's a great statement. It's a scary thing for most business owners, entrepreneurs, especially if they want to get into the internet marketing dream of sit at home in your underwear and watch the checks roll in, and I don't want to talk to anybody, I don't want to go anywhere. It's a kind of a scary thing, but one thing I teach my people is to be more visible but less accessible. That's one way to really elevate your expert status. So it sounds a little strange, but it's having your book and having your magazine and having your website, but you're not sitting there accepting every text message that comes your way. Here, before we did the interview, the videographer asked me, turn off your cell phone or something. Like, cell phone? I barely use the thing. Nobody even knows the number but my wife. I don't even know where the cell phone is. I'm not accessible, but I'm extremely visible. And that helps build expert status.
So that's a really great tool to get started. So what if you're just getting started and you're wanting that business to come in? You want to be visible, but you don't want to be accessible. But then how do you book your clients?
Well, you have someone to do it for you, but basically automation can solve a lot of those problems. You have an opt-in form on a website, or you have an answering machine from a phone number on a business card, whatever it is, and you put a system in place. For instance, so somebody, like in my field, a coach, I have a system in place. If somebody responds and they have any interest, well, they have to fill out a questionnaire. And only once the questionnaire is filled out and it's satisfactory and I see some that I might want to work with that person, well, then we can set up an appointment to talk. So that's what any business person can do. They can set up a consultation, or so for instance, I have a client who has a sewing shop. So instead of, she's not at the counter when people come in, she's not greeting people all the time. If people want to actually talk to her, they have to set an appointment. So she's always speaking and always giving talks and always teaching, but she's not accessible. And that elevates her expert status. So when somebody gets to talk to her, that's a big deal. And people will pay more money for that.
What a great strategy. So I understand you have a success coaching program. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I have a tendency, I love to help entrepreneurs. I come from a family where my mom was a school teacher and my dad was a salesperson and a business owner. So I'm like the perfect combination of I teach business, and that's what I love to do. But I have a tendency, therefore, to want to take on everyone as a client, and I just can't do that. And so that's the toughest thing for me. But I have a high-end coaching system, various levels, all the way from like $5,000–6,000 a year up to $60,000 a year, and things in between. And the first step I do is really sit down and discuss how quickly and how much success the person wants. That'll be more access to me.
Can you handle that fire hose of success, right?
Well, are you ready for it? Are you really ready to implement? See, as a coach, the number one frustration in training coaches, which also I do, I coach coaches, is that our students just don't do what we coach them to do. And if you watch any pro sports event, you know, the coach is always throwing the clipboard down and, oh, what, he didn't do the play as I drew it, or they're yelling at each other, the quarterback, he didn't go there. And so that's an issue of people not doing what you say. So that initial conversation that we have, that consultation is, are you ready to implement? Are you going to follow through and do what I say? If you do, you're going to get a lot of results. Otherwise, you need to take a step back and be more of an entry level with me, which is done on more of a group basis, till you really find yourself starting to get out there and like we mentioned, trying some scary things, then realizing that wasn't so scary. In fact, the fact my income went up is pretty non-scary. So now, Steve, I'm ready for a lot more, and then we can move to a higher position.
Steve, thank you so much for being one of the experts here with us in Tampa at the Be Legendary Experience. And next time, we hope to see you here. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.